Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. I am Abe with MysticGenmara.com, a small town mystic in the middle of Idaho. And today is April 30th, which means tomorrow is May 1st. And traditionally, this is the night where the celebrations of Beltane would begin. So, we'll do a little discussion about kind of the history and some of the older beliefs about Beltane and how they've kind of trickled forward. Throughout this discussion, I will be giving you little tips and tricks if you want to practice it for yourself, or if you want to just tap into this time for building intentions and just working with the celebration of the turning of the wheel of the year. So Beltane is a fire ritual time. There are several of these through the year. Basically, you can use any of the 8 traditional Sabbats as fire rituals, but the cross quarters, which is what this one is, it's halfway between an equinox and a I just lost the name. Solstice. No, yeah, summer solstice. Yeah, it's halfway between the solstices and the equinoxes. I have notes, but I leave out parts, so I do apologize. So these are just times when the power is still strong, but there's specific holidays and rituals that occur during these times in the traditional sense. This one is for fertility. And if you'll notice, if you count exactly 6 months, 180 days, give or take, from this date is Samhain. So these are opposing holidays. This one is a time for birth, fertility, and life. The other one is the celebration of those who've passed and remembering the ancestors. So, with that, just double checking, make sure I don't have this in here elsewhere. Okay, so going along with that, everyone knows who studies any of this, they tend to get obsessed with Samhain being the veil thins on this day, which it does. Very much a true statement. But there's other days where it's super thin, and this is the other day where it's as thin as it is on Samhain. So Beltane is a time where the spirits of the ancestors, or the spirits that are trying to come through, as in to be born, those who've made the agreements, they're ready to come back through. This is a time when they can do that very easily. And we'll get into some of the things about that in just a second. But this is a really special time because you can access the ancestors, you can access the fairy realm, the angel realm, all these other realms on this period of Beltane. Now, historically, traditionally, this celebration starts on the evening at sundown of April 30th and runs through the morning of May 2nd. Now, I will say there are others who will use different star days and where the moon's at, so this holiday can move a lot if you go by that pattern. And some of the dates for this will be as late as the 5th or the 6th. I'm a traditionalist in a lot of ways. It's just easier for me to not have to try to figure out the math of when this holiday is supposed to be and just plan it for this time for me. So if you want to go through the process of finding out the astrological date, that's fine. Like I said, I think this year it's the 5th in 2023, but for me it's just easier. This is the day. So, and unlike some other holidays, this one can float around a little bit. There's other ones that are kind of locked into times. Again, depends on if you want to go with the more modern time staring at the stars, or if you want to just go with the traditional time, because they both hold power. This first week is really when the power sets in, so the veil is fairly thin this entire time period. So with this one, there's a lot of different ways you can celebrate Beltane, as there is a lot you can celebrate for Samhain. The rules are kind of loose as far as where you were born, what your family's traditions are, etc. One of the primary big ones with both are bonfires. If you can't have bonfires, at least use candles, especially for these two in particular, because the bonfire brings in the spirit of the day. Today is the Beltane holiday is a fire holiday, so you want to bring in that fire. One of the interpretations of the name Beltane is bright fire, so it's kind of a thing with this one in particular to have a fire. It's good to celebrate the return of the sun to ruling the skies. This is when, looking at the older interpretations and the older stories and myths, this is when the Lord ascends from youth into adulthood. Going with this maturing, this holiday takes on a rather sensual tone, to the point in some cultures where wedding vows are suspended for this day, and free love, so to speak, is the name of the game. Now, this is where I was talking about the spirits that are trying to work or to come back in, or have made their agreements, they're ready to be born into this world, comes into play. Children born during this or conceived during this time, born from the trysts that go on, were considered sacred or special because they were blessed by the Lord of fertility in this time period. They're coming through on a wave of superpowered energy. With this, you want to make sure that if you do not want children, you do not participate at all. Because this particular time period, all of your senses are on high alert, and for some reason, and I've read a little bit about this over the years, that it's a mysterious time when birth control seems to fail. So if you don't want children, this is not a time for you to be amorous. So just something to keep in mind. In myth, this was when the Lord that was born on Yule is stepping into his sexual maturity, and the lady is the Virgin Maiden. It's the first joining that they have as a couple, and when the Lord and Lady come together in their romantic sense, pretty much the rest of nature wants to as well. So when you look at nature during this time, the flowers are blooming, the birds are singing their mating calls, the animals, most of them bred last fall, but there's babies being born. This is a big time for showing fertility, if not actually being fertile. Some cultures, and I tend to prefer this if I'm going to be going all out, would light two bonfires, one for the Lord and one for the lady. Generally, you would have a white candle and a black candle, and it kind of depends on how you celebrate, because there's some cultures that believe that the masculine is white and the feminine's black. Others believe that the masculine is black and the feminine's white. It's kind of works with what you want to practice. Here in the West, you normally see the husbands wearing black and traditionally the wives wearing white, so you can go that route with your candles if you can't have bonfires. When you build the bonfires back in the day, they would purposely select 9 specific woods to be in the bonfire. Even if it was only a branch, these 9 had to be in each fire, the main ones anyway. And the sacred wood was alder, ash, birch, hawthorn, hazel, holly, oak, rowan, and willow. You also bring in all 4 elements with those, because each one of those holds a different combination of the elements. The 2 bonfires, if you were working this tradition, would be built close enough to each other, but not too close, so that you could actually drive livestock between them. Generally, you're thinking like 15 to 20 feet apart, so it's wide enough that animals, with the right encouragement, would go through them. And the reason that you would do this is it was a blessing, a fertility blessing, protecting the calves for the coming year, or the lambs if you had sheep. Watch the sheep because they're stupid. But it was for a blessing. You could also have couples who were newly married and hadn't, this was like their wedding night type thing. They would hold hands and run through the middle of in between the two fires. It was really trying to get those fertility blessings, blessing you for the next year. A lot of this stuff back in the day was because even though they may not have had the scientific knowledge that we have today, which at times is questionable, they still believed very firmly that everything in nature and with spirituality was part of their day-to-day lives, which in reality is true. Your spirit and your mundane life are intertwined, whether you realize it or not. So everything for them was seeking the gods' blessings, favor, etc. Okay, where are we at here? The blessings that you were looking for, and you could write them on like pieces of parchment, on paper, on bark, and throw them into the fire as well. Were things like protection, increasing fertility, finding love, safe travel. Basically, during this time, anything that you were looking for that would be classified as a blessing was something you could work for on Beltane and Samhain. You would set your intention or ask the Lord and Lady for the request, and then you would jump over smaller bonfires or run between the two primary fires. And at the end of the night, or the celebration, because it could take 2 days up to several days depending on how much people got into it, the ashes, when the fire finally died down, would be used to bless gardens and used in healing rituals throughout the year. And you pretty much, if you were part of the village, you had a share of the ashes that would be divvied up amongst everybody. Water magic, just historical here, was also a big part of this ritual. Early morning dew on the 1st of May, Beltane morning, was collected, like the dew off the leaves was collected, because that morning's dew was the original holy water. There was nothing that needed to be done. That water was, in the ancients' belief, exceptionally sacred, and collecting water from sacred wells at daybreak. So people would gather around these ancient wells and springs, the sacred ones especially, and as soon as the sun would peak up and touch that water, then they would collect that water because it had been blessed by the new rising Lord. And so this water would be used for, again, healing and blessing, but it was also used as, in general, holy water to bless newborns, to consecrate a house. There's some myth that goes along with it. I read in one or two spouts, this is not a common one, that it would be used for psychological or possibly demonic blessings as well, because this water was so pure. So there's a little bit of that goes with it. And it's, if you're using, if you make blessing waters and oils, collecting stuff this particular morning is just a good way to bump up the energy that goes into that. One of the iconic things at the modern, that has been brought through the modern concept of Beltane is the maypole. It's a gigantic, great pole, depending on which term you want to use. Generally, it's really tall. That is erected with a multitude of colorful ribbons tied at the top. Each participant to a maypole celebration is required to bring their own ribbon. There are some groups that will actually set it up already, so all you have to do is show up and find the one that's been the color or the pattern or however that's been assigned to you. But in most cases, you would bring your own. The ribbon was generally, and back in the day, it was usually cloth of some form, not just a ribbon. But it was usually 2 to 3 inches wide and around 20-ish feet long, so your maypole was generally 15 to 20 feet tall, if not a little bit taller than that. But as you go, your ribbon gets shorter, so the pole couldn't be super long comparatively. At the appointed time for dance, each person would take their ribbon and step away from the pole. So everyone stepped away from the pole if it was right here in the middle. Everyone, takes the ribbon out to the outside, and you will circle the pole to the tune of the music. It's a little bit of dancing thing. But you want an equal number of participants for the maypole dance. If you have an even number of male and female, which is preferred, the men would go one direction and women the other. Like, men would go clockwise, women would go counterclockwise. And this was a dance of a little bit of cheeky humor and innuendo. So there was a little bit of this was more of a body thing than anything else. The songs that were sang were generally sensually charged and more amorous in nature. Sometimes it was pretty subtle. Other times you can find references to it being pretty blatant. The dance continues until the ribbons have been fully encasing the pole, each person securing their ribbon at the base when they reach the center. And what did I have going on here? Sorry about that. Let me just see. Okay. Part of the dance was, as you're going, you would zigzag around each other. So the men going one direction, the women going the other, and as you go, you're going over and under and over and under and over. So it's like, at you as one person, you're going over the next woman, but under the next and over. You kind of have to practice this a little bit before you get into it, because you don't want to just make a rope, but you do need to weave the maypole. There's videos on YouTube, and I'm sure on Odyssey and Rumble and all the rest of them if you looked. And there's actually a website for Beltane and maypole dancing to show you how to go about it, because there's an entire group that's dedicated to this specific holiday. And it's pretty fascinating, and when you watch it done with a group of 20 to 30 people on like a 30-foot maypole, the fact that they can get all of that done and it's wrapped so nicely is so cool to see. But again, you're doing this, and like I said, it's a little bit cheeky, it's a little bit body, because the maypole being a gigantic pole sticking out of the ground, and it's, hard as wood, and you're encasing it, it's pretty blatant as to what you're doing there, but it is entertaining to watch because people bump into each other. Sometimes it's accidental, sometimes it's not. But it's all about fun, it's all about happy. It's a very, very vibrant time. The colors are really important during this holiday because, as the flowers bloom, so are we, coming out of our shells from the winter. And there is a little bit of, once you're done with your dance and everyone's kind of chilling and enjoying merriment and refreshment, this is where some of the myths divide, I guess you could say, because it literally could change village to village in some of the older stories. Some say that the maypole was left at the center of the city as a blessing of fertility and not taken down at all until the next May Day. Others would say it'd be taken down at Samhain or at Yule, depending on the myth and legend. There's other groups that would say that it would be taken down and burned separately, and only the participants that danced the dance would get the ashes for the coming year. And the ashes were used as fertility, blessings, and protection. So it just really depends on where you were at as to what your culture would do. The legend that I prefer is that the pole is for the Lord, the ribbons are the lady, so as you're dancing, you're wrapping the Lord with love. We'll just use those terms, representing the joining of the masculine and the feminine, creating fertility and the continuation of the village or tribe or your family. It was just kind of a fun way to celebrate the fact that the snow's finally gone, it's warming up, plants are coming alive, and seeking a little bit of extra blessing from the Lord and Lady for this time. So, now I think what we'll do allergies are really fun right now. I have a little bit of a guided meditation here. Make sure I have the right one. And this is a little bit of a visualization, so you can just sit back. I've got some quiet, hopefully, music to play with it. You can just sit back and relax and listen. This is it's not very long, it's about 15 minutes or so. But just a gentle way to kind of have the images of what I see as this celebration. If we still had the ability for the gods and goddesses to step back into our realm, this is how I would see it. I have these type of meditations that I use for me personally. These ones are tweaked a little bit for, I don't know, more of a group. But I have these for almost every one of the 8 Sabbats, so I might be bringing some more of these forward as we go along. But this one in particular, I just thought would be kind of fun, especially since we're in that season right now. And so, let me start the music. Make sure it's actually going to play. There, okay. Few things. You don't want to drive or be operating machinery. Even a gentle light meditation or visualization can alter your reaction time to the outside world. So, just as a heads up, don't listen to this part if you're, driving down the road or something. You want to be comfortable, because as you relax, if you're in the wrong spot, your hand will go numb or whatever. So just relax and get comfortable. You can sit or lay down for this. It's up to you. It's whatever you feel like. Bring your attention to your breathing. As you inhale, expand your belly, feeling your lungs fill fully. Exhale and feel your belly contract slightly as you push the breath out. You're breathing deeply and slowly. As you breathe, the relaxation of slower belly breathing flows through your body from your head down to your feet. Waves of relaxation flowing through you, following your breath. See, sense, or just know that there is a cord growing from your feet down into the heart of the planet, grounding and connecting you to Gaia. Breathe in, filling your belly, feeling that bright green energy coming into your body. Exhale, releasing all stress, negativity, or darkness. Inhale, bringing pure white light into your belly. Exhale, feeling your shoulders drop and the tension leave. Take another deep breath in, bringing light into your belly, bringing in bright yellow golden light. And exhale, releasing anything you're ready to let go of in this moment. Continue breathing deeply and slowly as we begin the celebration. Bring your attention and awareness to the center of your head. In this room within your mind, you see a great wooden door. You approach this door and it swings silently open. You step out onto a grassy path lined by little torches. The sun is setting on the horizon. You walk along the path towards the great stone circle. The stone circle looks a lot like Stonehenge, but it's completed. All of the tops are in place and all of the rings are upright. You step through a gate into the circle and you see two great bonfires. One bonfire burns brilliant gold. The other fire burns a soothing silver. Gold is for the Lord, and silver is for the lady. Other celebrants are arriving, coming through different gates, dressed in different styles and different eras. You are in a time beyond space and a place beyond time. The other humans that have come to rejoice in the fertility that is returning to the land. Baskets of seeds, root clippings, and the first spring flowers are all around as offerings or to be blessed for the coming year. Animals are milling within their pens, waiting to be blessed as well. You notice that the circle grows as more people arrive. There's always enough room for everyone. The atmosphere is joyous, and there's an undercurrent that's just a little amorous. Very, very much your senses are waking up. There's mead flowing and other beverages being passed around. You visit and laugh with new friends and old acquaintances. A silvery bell peal draws the crowd's attention to the east. There, the gate of the gods is in the circle. There, the stars are streaking towards this gate, becoming the virile young lord and the virginal lady. Other spiritual beings are arriving as well to celebrate the turning of the year and the return of the Lord to his ruling power in the sun skies. The Lord and Lady come into the circle of stones, and a great cheer arises and the music begins. Your heart swells with the joy and happiness that their presence brings. Dancing and laughing, a time of great joy is upon you. After a little while, the Lord calls for attention. His face radiates pure masculine energy as he speaks. Today we celebrate the fertility of the year, new birth, new life, the continuation of the planet and of the wheel of the year. A cheer goes up from the crowd, your voice is among the throng. We jump the fire to manifest our wishes and our dreams. We pass the livestock between the flames to bless their fertility. We pass the seeds and seedlings between the flames to encourage their growth. Let the dance of the jumping begin. The Lord and Lady join hands and the livestock gates are thrown wide. The Lord and Lady dance and lead the animals between the flames. As they come out the other side, the Lord and Lady are glowing, and as the animals pass between the two fires, they come out glowing with the blessing of the divine as well. The animals seem to know where they're supposed to be and return to the edge of the circle, and the Lord and Lady encourage all participants to dance between the bonfires, whispering their desires, their dreams, their hopes into the flames as they dance between the piles. You are caught up in the revelry and you dance between the flames, whispering your dreams and desires into the flames, feeling the blessings of the Lord, that bright golden solar energy flowing into you, and the blessings of the Lady wrapping you in her silvery moon energy. You feel this energy as the loving energy of life, of existence, of joy. As the last of the celebrants pass between the fires, you notice the Lord and Lady are holding each other close. Others are pairing off in their couples as well. The other part of the festivals are coming out to the forefront. This is time to fade into the shadows. You slip away from the circle, watching the other couples fading away as well into the darkness. You return to the great wooden door, slowly along the path, feeling the warm breeze of the summery days. You step through the wooden door back into the center of your mind, feeling that glowing blessing from the Lord and Lady. The energy of the festival is coursing through your veins. You come back into your body as the door closes behind you, and you start to return to a conscious awareness, breathing in that golden energy of the Lord as you inhale, exhale, and become aware of your body as you settle back in. Breathing in deeply, bringing in that silvery energy of the Lady, and exhale, wiggling your fingers and your toes, bringing your awareness back to the now moment. Breathe in a gentle, white, healing light. And exhale, coming back to full conscious awareness, rolling your shoulders, stretching your back and arms, and whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes, feeling that bright, healing light sitting deep inside of you. And with that, I will let you go. If you liked the video, you can drop a like on it, comment, and let me know what you think. And if you're new here, please subscribe, because I try to do videos quite frequently anymore. And I will talk to you guys at a later time, and have a happy Beltane.